And your soil, if you're from another part of the state or the country, welcome, but our soils are not what they are 35 miles east of here. So just kind of be aware of that. Y'all all know these plants, so I'm not gonna sit there and tell you how big they get and all that kind of stuff. But some of my favorite ones that I have for this area is definitely a cedar elm. One of the cool things I love about cedar elm is the fall color. And if you are like a pumpkin person, I do like pumpkins, you definitely compare that with some orange, and that will really kind of pop. I personally have seen several where they're got hay bales and orange, and then even some maroon mums, you know, kind of help that, even though mum's not native, but keep it in the pot. Keep it in the pot. I do like a big tooth maple. It's kind of hard to find around here. They're really good for our soils, beautiful plants. So I absolutely love the drawings that Texas Forest Service put out. However, I've not ever seen a blue tooth maple that symmetrical before. So that's why I try to get some real pictures. But those are beautiful plants, just beautiful, beautiful plants. One day when I retire, my goal in life is to drive up the East Coast and look at the colors. That's my goal in life one day. So I'm not even eligible till 2033 to retire. So maybe one day. I just don't think you can go wrong with the bur oak. They're big, they're beautiful, they're majestic, they look really good. I've told many stories about, we had them growing up. My sister and I would throw the acorns at each other. Very low water usage. A lot of people, and where I came from, pretty much everybody had a bur oak on the west side of their house because it shaded, shaded everything. I grew up in North Texas, so we had a little bit deeper and blacker soils than we do down here, but most everybody had a bur oak. One of my favorite is a Lacey Oak. By far, I've got, full years ago, oh my gosh, how many years ago has it been? When Master Naturalist handed out trees at Kids Day Out in YMCA. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So I've sold some Lacey Oaks. So I've got them planted. I've got one for each of my kiddos planted. And that's what we kind of do on their birthday, is take a picture by their tree to see how much they all have grown. I know it's cheesy, but I do it. Yes. It's cheap. Yes, it's cheap. And I don't even think the master, I think they just gave it. That's awesome. Desert willow. So I really do like these trees. They have the beautiful burgundy blooms, or that pink bloom. They also have one with a white bloom. That picture there in the center, if y'all can see that, it's kind of blurry up there, back for y'all here in person. It's right up against some crushed granite. Also, it looks like, I feel like they do really good in Xeriscapes. They're beautiful in Xeriscapes, because one of the things I get complaints about is I just don't want a Xeriscape to look plain. Well, I got a plant for you, because it's going to pop some of that color, especially. I am crushed granite right now, but I wish I would have updated this, because I just pulled a picture off of Pinterest, believe it or not, that has like a combination of black and white rock under that maroon bloom of the desert willow, and it's beautiful. It's got the contrast of the rocks, and they're the pebble rocks, not the big river rocks or anything, but they're black and white intermixed, and then that pink just pops. It's beautiful.
And I want to make a comment. One of the things I like seeing with native plants is I like seeing them in the wild in their natural
Yes.
setting. And I love seeing the desert willow in big beds.
Yes.
It's all in the ditches and where the culverts are in big beds. It's just the coolest thing to see it out there.
Yes. And it's just a pretty plant.
Desert willow.
Yes, ma'am. Nope. Okay. That is a desert willow. Yes. This is I just kind of call this the spring is sprung, Texas mountain laurel. First smell, you smell them, you can see them, they're purple, they're beautiful. Another thing, y'all gonna think my sister and I were extremely mean to each other. But how many of y'all didn't know that you can scratch these seeds on the rock and burn your sisters with them? And yes, okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. We were straight country kids. We had nothing else. We did not have Nintendo. All of our friends had it. We did not. We had that. So, not only did we hurt each other, we educated a lot of we didn't live in a neighborhood, but we educated a lot of people that came over to our house on what you could do with the beans. It is ever growing. I mean, evergreen, a little bit slower growing. So I would recommend this. I put one in my sister's landscape a couple years ago, just because her house is an L-shaped house, and I kind of put it in that corner to kind of just keep something green there year round, and because everything else is kind of dead in the winter on its sides. So those kind of help those corner spaces. And they do need some sun. So that's another thing about native plants. We don't have a whole lot of shade loving ones. I just don't think you can go wrong with a Mexican or Texas Redbud. Early spring, beautiful pink flowers, well drained. The courthouse in Burnet, when they opened up the jail, they said they were talking about what plants they were going to plant, and they said, well, they invited all the county employees out for like a ribbon cutting thing, and one of them said, oh, before we get Kelly over here, if it's not native, she's gonna let us have it. So there is a Texas Redbud in front of the old jail now. So I'm glad they all know how I'm going to roll if they're going to ask me some things. The Agri-Life plant. I have put in here, if you are in a neighborhood, please don't plant this next to sidewalks. It will poke people, right? But well, unless you don't like your neighbors, that'd be a great hedge if you don't like your neighbors. But hey, whatever. It's great nesting. It's good nesting for birds. Good for Xeriscapes. Oh, I spelled that wrong in this. No one's ever told me that until I just saw that. There's my phonetic brain. Very deer resistant, and not good for sidewalks, but they do have a small yellow flower, and then they will produce that red berry in the fall, and they're good for birds, and they were good for nesting. So I did tell you I was going to run through this one fast. I do want to skip this one because everybody knows that one. The elbow bush, I do like that one too. It's native to this area. White flowers in the spring. It's early nectar for bees. So also the mountain laurel's early nectar for bees. So there it is in the wild. See, I'm kind of a wild person myself. There it is in the wild. You can see it up against some. It looks like maybe like an ash tree. Well, I don't know if that's an ash tree or not in the background. I can't really tell, but probably a hackberry if it's in the wild there. But you can see it is early. It's one of those early blooming ones. There we've got flame Mccanthus. You can't go wrong with that. It is an aggressive reseeder, which means, which translate to my lazy mind is work. Okay, so but it is good for hummingbirds and butterflies. It is an aggressive reseeder. So if y'all have had this for a couple of years, you probably have some to donate to the fall plant sale, right? Oh, fragrant mimosa. Again, you see I have a lot of them in the wild, right? I like to show people what they look like in a pasture. Again, these are not good for sidewalks. They could be hard to find. So not a lot of nurseries carry them, but don't be afraid. I mean, I'm kind of weird. Like I know this. I own my nerdiness and I own my weirdness. I'm not afraid to dig something up and throw it in my yard. I'm not afraid to say, what are you going to do? If you die, I tried, you know, and I'm really not afraid to do that. So this is, you'll see this on a lot of pastures. I don't know if it's good nesting. I don't think that it would be, but it does have that cute little pink flower on there. And it is fragrant. So, here we are again. We're gonna. Right now, too. It is. Then we have our mist flower. I mean, I had to put the picture in there with the bee on it to show that bees actually do like it. But they do. They do offer some really good nectar, and they have the fragrant white blooms for moths and butterflies. They attract their hummingbirds. You can see they against that house there that they do take up some space in a landscape too. And then Turk's Cap. We have some of this at the office right now. The San Gabriel River in Georgetown, against some of those in those little walkways they have for the public. There's several of these. They're just growing wild right down there by the river. They're beautiful. They are the darker red color. Every once in a while, I'll just go down there and see if they're still going. And the oh my goodness, the other grass that's there. Oh, I wish I could think of it. It's broadleaf wood oaks.
Same thing.
Yeah, it is. Yes, they have it labeled at the river. Broadleaf oaks is what they have it labeled at the river. So, and then you can grow, right there by the river. If y'all know where Walmart is in Georgetown, that there's a little spot, like a walkway behind there that has both of them just right together. And it's kind of neat to see that. The square bud primrose, that's like a ground cover type. You can get that in the dwarf varieties. They are evergreen, so I like that. Great for xeriscapes, which I actually spelled that right in this slide. That was good. And rock gardens, and very low water, which is that's kind of my gig. Blackfoot Daisy, you can see it there in the pasture. I wish I would have actually put my picture in, because I took a picture of it a couple of years ago out on 1174 and 207 north of Bertram. And it's actually really good. It grows really good out there, mainly because there's a lot of disturbed soil, and it kind of, I don't know why it likes it, but it looks like it's doing really well there. Very low water. Prune, because it could get just kind of leggy looking, and then they're real good for rock gardens, and they don't need a whole lot of water. So again, there's my water conservation spill for you.
Do they come back to fruit?
Yes, yes, they will. I'm gonna skip that one for a reason, but well, for several reasons, mainly because of time, because I want to get to some interesting facts in my next one. Gay feather, Latrice, I like this a lot. Very low water, beautiful, vibrant coloring, nectar, butterflies, insects. They all like this one. I like this plant. I like to use it. I'm not like a floral arrangement type of person, but I did do a wedding one time, and they said anything purple, and so this is what I used. And they were kind of surprised.
It dries well.
It dries beautiful. It does. They were kind of surprised when this is what I'm not a floral arrangement person, but I was teaching ag at the time, and they said they would make a donation to the FFA chapter if I did it. So that's how it panned that out. That was our fundraiser for the year. And I had my desk, I had like 30 desks in my class, and every one of them had a vase on it. I just go right down the line. Penstemon, I love this one. I love it in the wild. It's this the Central Texas Gardener picture is a little deceiving. It's got a lot of purple in it, and then you can go over to this side, and then you can have that bright pink. And against the yellows, I just think that's really pretty. Rock rose, and that's another one that's good for sidewalks, closer to sidewalks. It's only about 1.5 feet tall, maybe 2 foot tall. It is native to the Edwards Plateau. Butterflies, pink. I do like pinks, by the way, and I'll kind of get to, you're going to see, I'm going to spend a lot of time on my favorites, by the way. But there's not too many blooms after spring, but it will still bloom if we have a decently mild summer. Like right now it's in spring, and then like we got this rain, and now it seems like it's going crazy. This Cedar Sage, this is a picture I did take this picture. I took this in, where did I take this picture at? I may have taken it on the river, on the San Gabriel River, on one of those walks. I think that's where I took it at. That cedar sage there, again, it's native to here. It's about 2.5 foot tall. Great for hummingbirds, great for color. I like red and I like the blues, and I like to mix those kind of different colors together. And y'all will see this when I show y'all my personal plants here in a little bit. Okay, autumn sage, by far one of my favorites. Even though the far picture on the right is not my actual bed, it's very similar, isn't it, to what I showed you, the picture of what I showed you earlier. So this it's not my bed, actually. I don't think so. No, it's not. That's good. Okay. And then there are some different colors to them. I don't know if y'all ever shopped autumn sage. They've got the hot lips, that's in the center, where the two bottom petals are actually like a salmon color. This picture's a little bit deceiving, and it's got the white closer toward the stem there. And then down in the bottom, you can see the pinks and the whites. This one, I believe, is the raspberry color. At my house, I have raspberry, I have lipstick, I have hot lips, and I have a purple one. It's a deep, deep purple color. That's kind of off by itself because I got it at Mccanthus and they couldn't tell me what color it's going to be, and so I didn't want to mix it with something that I didn't know was going to mix well. So it's kind of off by itself, but it's really pretty. And then big red sage. Again, this is evergreen. I didn't tell you autumn sage is evergreen, but the big red sage is also evergreen. And my bed, like I was telling y'all earlier, my personal flower bed looks very much like this. And you can see there's butterflies in this one. You can't walk out of my door right now without bumblebees. I mean, they're everywhere on those plants right now. And so I'm just glad my kids are used to it. They're like, oh, they won't hurt you. They're fine. You know, so, but their friends don't really like it when they come over and there's bees swarming, but they'll get over it. So they like, this is big red sage, hummingbirds, butterflies, all the insects like it. And then the skull cap, that's very popular. It's that light purple color, about 2 foot tall, very little maintenance. Spreads easy, which equals a little bit of work, and then attracts butterflies and bees. So I have to say, not all of these are my favorite. I will say that basket grass is kind of a big one. It's got the big white plumes on there. It's a really pretty grass. Again, I would not plant this by a sidewalk. They can be like little razor blades on the ends of those grass blades. But they are good for slopes. They'll kind of cover some stuff, get some roots down, hopefully hold some soil in place. And so if you do have some slopes, they will grow perfectly fine in rocks. So the picture on your left is in a nursery, and the picture on the right is Sonora. It's west of Sonora. So now when y'all know, like, y'all are like, where'd she get these pictures? This is what I do. I'm the weird county vehicle on the side of the road taking pictures. I've only been called in once to the sheriff's department. I did have someone call and say, Burnet County's truck is on the side of the road in Milano, Texas, and I think that they're in trouble. And then they called me and I said, no, I'm actually really just taking pictures of plants. So red yucca, I just don't think you can go wrong with this. The center picture, I apologize for that because I do see that there is some non-native plants in there, but I do like the fact that they actually mixed them. So, and they decided to change their ways in the middle of landscaping. So I do like this in a lot of xeriscapes. It's a beautiful plant. It just is a beautiful plant, even when it's not blooming. There's some things you can do to kind of add some color and pop to it with some other types of plants around it. But the coral spike blooms, attracts the hummingbirds.
How do you keep the deer from eating?
So you've noticed that there was only one deer resistant plant in my list, right? So you honestly, you can't. I kind of tell people there's a lot of deer are going to get hungry, and when they're hungry, they're going to figure out something to eat. And another thing is about deer is they are okay, so deer like plants with protein in lots of protein, especially those early little plants, right? Well, what is a forb? What's a forb?
Deer food.
It's deer food. And a lot of the plants that we call wildflowers are actually forbs. Yeah, deer food. So forbs, when they're small, when they're young and tender, that's usually when they're the highest in protein. And again, we're talking about native plants, and deer were here long before we were. These plants were here long before we were. So they've kind of figured out how to make it. And so that's kind of where I tell people about native plants is when I say it's really good for wildlife. You shouldn't break the bank planting native plants because you may end up feeding wildlife, right? But that's kind of what I do. It's kind of a catch-all, or it's kind of a catch-22 on that. Is yes, we're planting native plants, and deer are native too. And these guys coexisted together long before, blonde hair, blue eyed Europeans came over here and kind of planted them in landscapes. So I don't really know what to say other than you can fence them off or you can live with them. And that's kind of, I'm not a big fan of the deer repellent stuff. I think if any of y'all have ever been around deer hunting or any of that nature, years and years and years ago, depending on where you go, they used to tell you, oh my gosh, you're going to scare the deer off, right? Don't move, don't breathe, don't even step out. Or that's what my dad told me growing up. I think he just wanted me to be quiet the whole time. And now we take our boys out, and my oldest will sit in a deer stand or a bow stand, which is wide open, and texting us, taking pictures. Can I shoot this one? That's the text messages that he sends us, and they're 20 yards away. They're adaptable animals. Not quite as adaptable as feral hogs, but they're adaptable animals. And so I'm not of course we have to have the scent off and all that kind of stuff. My son does, but I'm kind of to the theory of we kind of live with them because we're planting their food, because that's kind of what they like. So my next presentation is going to be Xeriscapes and rock gardens. So grasses. So you can put some grasses out because we just established that deer like forbs first, right? They'll eat forbs, then they'll eat browse or woody plants, and the last thing that they'll eat is grass. So a deer can starve to death on grass because they can't digest it. So that will be the last. That's why we don't plant coastal for deer, right? So so you could plant some ornamental grasses and try to keep them. That might deter them a little bit more. But little blue stem, I just don't think you can go wrong with this in a landscape. You definitely cannot go wrong with this in a pasture. There it is. I've got two pictures of it in landscapes, and I've got a picture of it in the wild. In Big Muley, the Edwards Plateau, low water, maybe some moderate. It does have kind of a blue-green color to their the blades there. I don't think pictures can kind of show the blue-green justice. If y'all have ever seen it in life, it's beautiful. It's almost like a Lacey Oak. Like I don't think there's a camera one that can actually kind of get that cool color that the Lacey Oaks have. So here's some designs here. We're going to pretend that all of these are native plants because you can't exactly find anything. So I've decided the center plant is a desert willow, right? And then right around the base of it, we have some autumn sage, right? We've got some black dahlia there at the bottom, very bottom. We've got a beautiful esperanza there in the back with that green, with the green, the dark greens of all of those. And then we've got the blue, the purples, pinks, and the yellows mixed together. I love color. And I've heard, a lot of people will say, how do you get color in with natives? And I just don't think they're just not looking in the right spot. They're just not, because I love color. I love pinks, purples, blues, yellows. I don't think there's anything more prettier than a Pride of Barbados. Actually, I should, but that's real. Anyways, I know where I'm going with that. But it's the beautiful colors that we have in these plants. And they just look good here. They just look good. Here's some other designs. I will talk about some other grasses, some turf grasses for a minute. I'm a big fan of buffalo grass.
You need to
Big reason why I'm a fan of buffalo grass and some blue grana. I'm a fan of that too. But one of the reasons why I'm a fan of buffalo grass is it goes into heat dormancy. And dormancy does not equal dead. And that's where I really try hard to get some of this. I know that I'm preaching to the choir here. I do know that. But dormancy is not dead. And a lot of the calls that I got this summer is, well, we just planted grass. Is it going to die? Well, I don't know. What did you plant? I planted St. Augustine. And then they say, I hope so. And then they don't like me after that. So, and then when I tell them approximately how much water it's going to take to keep the St. Augustine alive, when they really could have just planted sodded buffalo grass and not had to worry about water through the summer. I wish I would have taken a picture of my buffalo grass. I also don't mow very often. So, but the heat dormancy, within just, 3 days after we got that first rain, and then we got some breaks in the clouds and that sun came out. And you don't even know it hasn't been watered all summer. I don't water. It is truly survival of the fittest. And so if y'all want my plants for the plant sale, y'all know that they can survive anything. And y'all can advertise them as that, because they've survived a lot. Here's again, that crushed granite. I haven't really been a big, I've not been one to preach rock gardens and crushed stones and all that kind of stuff. But in the last, the water conservation deal this year, as much as we heard a lot, I don't know, A&M just flooded us with water conservation this year, obviously. I'm sure they did in 2011 as well. But one of the things that's really hit me hard is these Xeriscapes and it's just kind of hit me that rocks are really, really pretty. You can really do a lot of things with different rocks. And so y'all will see a little bit of it in my other one. I'm going to try to run through pretty quick. I'm almost done with this one, but here's just some designs. I completely understand that Mexican feathergrass is not, so before I get called on that, my idea was the picture of the thornless prickly pear. That was the idea there. And they're actually fighting Mexican feathergrass in West Texas. It's gotten into pastures. Cows don't eat it. It's too rough. They won't eat it. It's not palatable. It doesn't taste good to them. And so now they're actually fighting it in West Texas. And it doesn't really react as they were hoping to, it would react to Roundup and things of that nature. So they're actually really fighting it. Okay. So here's the proof. This is some new slides. So if y'all have seen this presentation before, you can now pay attention, okay? So this is Mealy Blue Sage taken on July 17th. There are to be no judgments of the amount of ugliness that's on the bottom. And so y'all can see there's no blooms. We're very wilted. We're very ugly, right? And I don't care because it's a native plant. It's supposed to come back, right? Okay. Here it is, Tuesday. I got exact same plant, except for I took it the picture like this. Oh wait, like that, instead of like that. That's the only difference. So, if you're whichever one you want. Whichever one you want, you can have all of it. So that was taken Tuesday, September 13th. We've had 5.12 inches of rain in August in my house, at my house. So there's the proof that this stuff works. That we're not just making up baloney over here when we say they're supposed to be here, right? Okay. So there's the picture of my autumn sage. Please ignore the grass at all. Cut back. This was taken again on July the 17th. Same plant. Same plant taken on Tuesday morning. That's the exact same plant, just a different angle. Mainly because I didn't even have this idea to put this in this slideshow until Tuesday morning. And I'm not joking. I had like backpacks and I had like my son's lunch box and I had my lunch box and I was like, oh wait, this would be really good. Hang on just a second. So it was literally like Tuesday morning at 6:45 when I figured out I needed to take these pictures. So there's the proof. And I wanted to get some of my Texas sage in there. This, oh man, where is my, did I not add? Please tell me I did. Oh, maybe I didn't. I thought that I added the big picture. Maybe I didn't add the big picture. Well, maybe I will do it next time. I'm going to add the big picture, and that's my whole side of my house. So please feel free to call if y'all have any questions or anything at the office. I can't promise I'll be there because I'm usually chasing around 200 4-H kids, or I'm at somewhere, wherever I'm at. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this other one super quick.
We'll have to share it.
Okay. I should just, is it not going to, do I need to hit share screen again? Okay.
Not share screen, but just share that presentation.
Oh, right here.
Whatever you're sharing.
There we go.
That's it, but there's always a delay.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, there it is.
Perfect. So here's really what I wanted to share with y'all. Over the summer, I've kind of got this bright idea. I've never been one to really preach Xeriscapes. I'm going to be honest with you because I didn't know that we really, I didn't know that we really had the desire. I don't know, I've never had a phone call that said, can you tell me how to Xeriscape? But now I'm going to go around just telling people how to do it. That's kind of how I want to do. So that's why they pay me the big bucks, right? I can do what I want. No, okay, we're not going to get there. We go. Okay, so this is kind of a map. Just dead center is Burnet County, right? So this was pulled on August the 18th, so right at a month ago. We're in a severe drought. Okay, we've had some rain, but we're still in a drought. Before, when I did this on August the 18th, we needed approximately 29 inches of rain to be out of a drought. Okay, so we've not had that. Our plants look good. Our native plants look really good because they know what they're doing, right, in this situation. But we are not in a drought. We're not out of a drought. Our creeks don't look good. Our rivers don't look good. We're still not there. Our soil moisture is still not that good. I mean, the plants look good, but the soil moisture levels are still under about 30%. Okay, so we're still not good. So Xeriscapes have a lot of benefits. Oh my gosh, where are you, little? Okay, there you are. So this is maroon is the exceptional drought. So you see the whole, basically the south end of the county was in an exceptional drought, and that northeast tip of Burnet County was in an exceptional drought right here, which kind of surprises me because Lampasas is like right here and they get all the rain. What's up with that? What is up with that? It is so fun. Have y'all watched the radar? And it just like, boom, just splits. And what is?
Yeah, there's a dome over.
It's the craziest thing. And then the south end of the county. So right at a month ago was in an exceptional drought. And then the central part of the county was in a extreme drought. So this is kind of the main slide that I wanted to show some people. I did a look when I was doing some research.
Would be better because they're more pliable. Did you bring any?
You can try them.
Did you bring any?
Oh, okay. I don't think they're talking to us. This is urban landscapes. This is irrigated acres in urban areas, and this is just for landscape. Okay, so this is just irrigated landscape. Okay, so those two words put together, they give me attention headache. Okay, right here, it gives me attention headache.
Irrigated landscape.
So
I guess.
the irrigated, this is Irrigated Acres. This is from the Water Resource Institute at A&M. Landscapes for single and multi-unit housing landscape areas. They encompass 1,248,206 acres in Texas. It's a lot of water. It's a lot of water. In 2011, which was 11 years ago, Texas had 7,675,050 single family housing units, with each having an average mixed landscape of 0.15 acres. And there is a total of 1,151,258 acres for all the single residential housing. So the first one I said was for multi-unit housing, like apartment buildings, duplexes, things of that nature. So to me, that's a lot of acres in St. Augustine grass. I mean, let's face it, that's what developers are planning. That's a lot. So to conserve 1 acre of landscaped area, a conservative 1 acre of landscape area was assigned to each of the additional housing units. Okay, so we have other irrigated landscapes encompasses. This is going to be like the apartment complexes, duplexes, things like that. 360,193 acres. Municipal landscaped acres in the state of Texas is 209,811. With I'm sorry, that's landscape areas with approximately 104,906 of those being irrigated. So it's safe to say that basically half of the municipal landscape is being irrigated in the state of Texas. Y'all don't look so sad. I mean, this is shocking to me, like to really see that 1.2 million acres in the state of Texas is under irrigation landscape. That is shocking to me. Business and commercial landscape is about 228,000 acres, and educational institution landscape, which is probably mostly A&M, is 26,511 acres. Based on very conservative estimates, it's 14.2 inches of irrigation per acre. So 1.8 million acre feet is used annually to landscape water for landscape water in Texas. 1.8 million acre feet. So I'm not a mathematician, but when I read that, I'm like, what's an acre foot? No, it sounds like a lot, but I don't really know what it is. So let's do the math. 1 acre foot is approximately is equal to 325,851 gallons. That's 1 acre foot. So we're going to multiply that by 1.898 million. That gallons, 6 trillion, 191 billion, 177,117,067 gallons is used in Texas for landscape. native plants, people, like native plants. So, so now it goes back to, we were talking about how this gets, the passion, how it gets driven. That's how, like, how do you waste? I mean, I'm not saying waste. I mean, I think there's lots of plants that need to be watered. I love native plants. But let's face it, educational buildings, municipalities. How much of this could we actually, if we went to, like what we were talking about, Mike and I were talking about this kind of earlier. If we went to POAs, if we went to cities, if we went to things of that nature and just said, okay, how can can Burnet County cut some of this? Yeah, we can do a dent in it. But that's why I'm so glad there's a president now, and president-elect and all that kind of stuff, because that's why these chapters function right there. That's why it is very important for people like y'all to work within your neighborhoods, to work within your municipalities, I'm not telling y'all what to do with your lives, but to get on city council. I mean, there's a lot of things. So my last bullet is I will preach cutting down on water all day long. I'm going to preach it all day long. And until A&M tells me to stop, and then in the year 2033, and then I can retire, right? So that's kind of where I'm going with that. So, but this is why, in my opinion, master gardeners, master naturalists, native plant societies, that's why these chapters are very important to our communities. And that's why I love the fact that there's 30 some odd people in this room that decided not to go shopping down there and come here, because I was like, what is going on? Look at all these people showing up. And when I couldn't find a parking spot by the library, I was like, man, a lot of people here. So
That doesn't include irrigation for food crop.
that is landscape only. That is not irrigated cotton. That's not irrigated food crop. That's not irrigated forage. That is straight landscape. So I hope that everybody is as shocked as I am when we see those numbers.
Everybody has to develop.
Well, that's right, because the developers, their job is to sell that house, and they're putting the greenest grass that requires the most water in front of that house so that it looks like a magazine cover and that it will get sold fast. And then, and I'm going to be honest, I've got a lot of calls lately. How do I reverse what the developers have done in my landscape? And they don't like my answer when I say, quit watering it. I mean, give it 6 months and then it's gonna come up real easy. So, and I mean, they don't like my answer, but that's my answer. And I say, you can either spend a lot of money scraping it out, or you can just not water it for 6 months, and those trees will pop right out, and the grass just come drop back up, and it probably will still be in its cute little rectangle sod thing, and you pull it up. And so, and then I say, and then once you pull it all up, call me, and we'll talk buffalo grass. And
So I have a question about
Mhm.
buffalo grass, because I know that if you, how do you deal with neighbors who have Bermuda that's gonna take over the buffalo grass? How do you,
they ain't gonna take over the buffalo grass.
well,
Are they fertilizing it?
yeah.
You can get some like landscape metal flashing and just, yep. You can do that. Healthy, I'll be really honest with y'all, because I know that I'm preaching native landscape, but I've got an ag side to me as well. We also raise hay. We don't irrigate though. We don't irrigate. We don't irrigate. We're not hopping out of Rocky Creek in northeast Burnet County, I promise you. But we do raise hay. My Bermuda, my pasture is Bermuda, and my yard is buffalo.
And it doesn't.
Not really. There's a couple of patches, like, and then, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I pulled up some Bermuda grass. I'm like, oh, here's a hole. Take over for a minute, and then that's it. I've done a lot of stuff. I'm not afraid to try it, but for the most part, it kind of just leaves it alone. Now I'm not fertilizing it every month like a landscape person would. And we cut it back, we're cutting it for hay. So it doesn't bother it too bad, but you can get some of that green or whatever color you wanted, that landscape metal flashing or whatever, and get that. And I mean, that's kind of a pain, and kind of get that and rubber mallet and some knee pads and kind of go through there, and that'll help. Of course, if both of those grasses grow above ground and they spread above ground and below ground, they both have rhizomes and stolons. So they're gonna want to try to, intertwine with each other, but both of them grow the same way. That's why Bermuda does so well here, is because it mimics buffalo grass. But yeah, that's about the only
Aren't
thing.
there a lot of buffalo grass varieties that people plant here that don't spread?
Well, all of them are gonna spread by the rhizomes and stolons, because that's how they're just meant to do. That is kind of the way they're made. Now, there are some buffalo grasses. There's like a turfalo. I really don't know what all they have, to be honest with you, because A&M's done some work, Texas Tech has done some work. But the golf courses, so what the golf courses do is they kind of go back, they edge it, is what they do around that green, and that kind of helps. But they also keep it that tall, which then it never is able to produce the runners above ground. So that's kind of why some of it, if it's kept short, it just doesn't produce it. Mine is just buffalo grass until it goes dormant.
Something that bothers me even more than the water is the fertilizing, because that pollutes our water, our streams, our lakes, we got algae, we got all kinds of stuff.
I don't even know if I have fertilizer.
And why
at the
do
house when I
people,
go out.
why do all these guys have fertilize their little yards?
That's a very good question. I honestly can't tell you, because
Please discourage them.
I don't preach fertilizing, to be honest with you.
Native plants don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, and people, one of the first, I get a lot of questions on trees, like, what about my trees? I need to fertilize my trees. And I'm like, well, what is it? A lot of, please don't. Just don't baby it to death, and that's, that's one of the things. They just don't need it. They have been here longer than we have. So the whole reason why I downloaded this PowerPoint was basically because of that slide. And I put in there, they reduce the amount. So benefits of xeriscaping is reduce the amount of water that regular landscape would consume. They're less maintenance. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will say I do have a totally different appreciation for just rocks. I mean, especially around here, we've got a lot of pretty granite rocks. I mean, use them. I'm just going to show you kind of what they
How are we doing with rocks in our heat island?
in the what?
Making a big heat island.
Well, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. That's a good question. I'm
That's one
gonna
of my
research
things,
into this.
I think the rocks, my feeling is way overdone. I mean, it makes a great accent and everything else. There's places for it, but
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, and they said the bigger the rock, the more heat, the smaller the gravel.
Okay.
The smaller the pebble,
Yeah.
the less the
But
heat.
it's still a lot of heat.
It is.
You keep it, you can't leave your whole yard.
No.
What I do instead of rocks is a heavy mulch.
Heavy mulches.
Is there a difference? I mean,
No, I just have recently kind of started using the conservation part of it has really jogged this for me. I've never once done a presentation on Xeriscape. I just wrote this since August the 18th. So I've got a lot of research to go with this.
So can you, I mean, the rocks sound great and fine, but Can you get the same effect, but with mulch?
Well, you would probably get a better effect because mulch is gonna help hold it in, yes. And then when you're creating that heat, it's gonna tend to evaporate out of it. That moisture's gonna tend to evaporate out of the soil. So I'm writing here, heat, mulch versus,
Yeah, but then Firewise will say the mulch. is
I'm
better.
sprung for a piece of paper here. You're out of ink. You're out of pen.
that's all right, I'm not thinking. I always have something on my hand anyway. So they do have, there are mulches that, well, I think most mulch will have some type of fire retardant, but you're right. Firewise communities will talk about rocks and plants and like laddering landscapes. They don't want laddering landscapes. They don't want, and what I mean by that is they don't want the smaller plants that lead up to the bigger plants and then a big old tree because this one catches fire. Now this one catches fire. Now this tree that's shading your house has caught fire. Now your house has caught fire. So they don't want the laddering landscapes. They don't even look at that Firewise because Martell Lodecki and I just did a newspaper article about this. It was in the Burnet Bulletin, maybe 2 or 3 months ago about Firewise stuff. So I've got some of those, I've got those publications and stuff that we pulled the check boxes basically from Firewise. But there's the river, like creating the river. And I guess, what would, in your heat island, what would be, like, could you center your rocks with trees and help shade those?
I think it's the amount of mass.
Mhm.
And some of them, we just drop 3 big dump trucks of 3-inch rock out there. This other stuff really looks pretty and it's not all on solid.
Right, yeah.
The front yard rock.
That's another thing versus a solid rock is gonna get hot. I like this one just mainly because there were tree stumps as chairs. To be honest with you, I really thought it was neat. And if you pay real close attention, that's like a stock tank that they just dug in there as a fire pit. And then I also think this is another little flaw in that one that I would not appreciate is having to actually dig out all the ashes after you did have a fire in that. So, but it's cute. It's cute. It's a good idea. But I did do a little bit of hardscaping and some things like that. Again, we've got some heat. I like the driftwood, using driftwood. I'm going to really roll through this fast because I know y'all are 5 minutes over. But I do like using driftwood. I think it's kind of cool to use. It's rustic. Again, you can see this black is actually a lot of mulch. That's actually black mulch. So there's some more driftwood ideas. These are just quick pictures. I think that's kind of cool. Use of big boulders. I like that. But I mean, we got plants in here too, so I like the different textures of rocks. I think those are kind of cool. There's some other boulders and textures there, contrasting colors. If you're OCD, I don't really suggest this. There's my disclaimer, because at my house, this would drive me crazy. It would drive me crazy because there would be a white rock and a black one, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I literally can't do laundry all day today because I'm going to be picking out. So this is not going to work at the Tarla household, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then this is mulch right in here, so you've got that kind of that breakage. Again, there's
when you vary the color, it helps. Because the darker rock absorbs the lighter rock reflects the heat. And
yes,
when we had an area that was all light rock, and I came back in and kind of made it multicolored, And it was amazing how much less hot that space was. It was right in the entryway of our house, and just having a little bit of dark rock in there made a difference.
Well, and see, reflective, the reflective lamp. This is another one that would not work in our household right now. But it's really cool, and whoever's doing that and spending the time to do that, I appreciate them.
I used to see kids playing with that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, my kids would throw them at each other. But here's a cool fake river. I think that's fun, just kind of coming out of a pot. I thought that was kind of a neat idea. Again, some more just plain fun stuff. I'm sure that's, I don't even know what kind of rock that would be, or glass. Oh, Lord, we really are not gonna have that at my house. There's some more fun stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the end of that one. But I just really did this PowerPoint for the sheer fact that there's over 1 trillion gallons of water being used for landscape in the state of Texas, and it really, the use of native plants, in my opinion, could get a huge dent in that. Especially if those plants are at my house, but we ain't gonna get watered anyways. So, but anyways, that's all I have for y'all today. I'm hoping y'all aren't too mad at me for going 10 minutes.